Last night's Jimmy Kimmel Live erupted into chaos as Elon Musk clashed with host Jimmy Kimmel in a jaw-dropping on-air meltdown. Kimmel's jabs hit a nerve, Tesla stocks tumbled, and Musk stormed off the set in a blaze of fury. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping stories like this. The tension was palpable even before the cameras started rolling. Backstage whispers suggested Jimmy Kimmel had prepared unusually pointed questions for his guest. The production team exchanged nervous glances as they watched Elon Musk scroll through his phone in the green room, seemingly unaware of what awaited him. As the show's familiar jazz intro faded, Kimmel launched into his monologue with an edge his regular viewers immediately noticed. His usual playful demeanor had been replaced with something sharper, more calculated. "Tonight we have a very special guest," Kimmel said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "A man who's promised to solve all of humanity's problems, from traffic to mortality itself. Please welcome the self-proclaimed savior of humanity, Elon Musk." The audience applauded as Musk walked onto the stage, waving awkwardly before taking his seat. He wore his signature black t-shirt and an uncertain smile. The initial handshake between host and guest was brief, almost perfunctory. "Thanks for having me, Jimmy," Musk said, settling into the guest chair. "Always good to be here in Los Angeles. Always." "Good to have you," Kimmel replied, shuffling his note cards with unusual focus. "So, Elon, you've been busy lately. Very busy. Between your various companies, your political commentary, and your, let's say, colorful social media presence, you're everywhere these days." Musk chuckled uncomfortably. "Yeah, I suppose so. I'm trying to push humanity forward on multiple fronts. It's important work," Kimmel nodded slowly. "Important work. Right. Let's talk about some of that important work. Your recent Neuralink demonstration didn't exactly go as planned, did it?" The audience shifted uneasily as Musk's expression tightened. "All technological advancement comes with setbacks," Musk responded. "The Wright brothers crashed a few times before they got flight right. What matters is persistence." Sure, Kimmel said, leaning forward. "But most setbacks don't involve quite so many ethical violations and, what was it, 7 dead test subjects?" A gasp rippled through the audience. Musk's face flushed. "That's a gross mischaracterization," Musk said, his voice hardening. "We follow strict protocols and oversight. The advancement of brain-machine interfaces will revolutionize treatment for neurological conditions. You're focusing on sensationalized reporting." "Am I?" Kimmel pressed. "Because the FDA report was pretty damning. But hey, what's a few dead monkeys when we're trying to download TikTok directly to our brains, right?" The tension in the studio became electric. The production assistant signaled frantically from off-stage, but Kimmel ignored her. "And then there's the Cybertruck," Kimmel continued, not waiting for Musk's response. "That marvel of engineering. That looks like something a 5-year-old would draw if you asked them to design a car from the future. How's that selling? I heard the wipers don't work when it rains." Musk shifted in his seat, his jaw visibly clenching. "The Cybertruck is revolutionary. Its exoskeleton provides unparalleled protection. We've had some manufacturing challenges, but that's normal with groundbreaking design." "Groundbreaking design," Kimmel repeated with exaggerated emphasis. "Is that what we're calling it? Because I thought we were calling it unable to pass basic safety standards in most countries. But what do I know? I'm just a late-night host, not a genius who spends more time tweeting than fixing his companies." The audience was dead silent now. The cameras panned to capture Musk's reaction. His nostrils flared, eyes narrowed. "You know, Jimmy," Musk said, slowly, "I came here expecting a professional conversation, not this hit job." "Hit job?" Kimmel laughed. "Come on, Elon. I thought you were all about free speech. Can't handle a few questions? Let's talk about Mars then. How's that going? Still planning to die there after you've made Earth uninhabitable?" Musk took a deep breath. The Mars program is making steady progress. Space exploration is difficult, but not as difficult as fulfilling your promises, apparently, Kimmel cut in. Remember when you said we'd have fully autonomous self-driving cars by 2016? Then 2018, then 2020. It's 2025 now, Elon. Where are they? The show's producer was now making slashing motions across her throat, signaling to cut to commercial. Kimmel ignored her completely. Technology development isn't linear, Musk responded, his voice now carrying an unmistakable edge. We've made tremendous strides in AI and autonomous systems. The complexity of driving in all conditions is apparently too complex for the world's self-proclaimed genius to figure out, Kimmel finished for him. But hey, at least your social media platform is thriving, right? Nothing says successful business model like watching advertisers flee en masse. Musk's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. The veins in his forehead became visible as his face reddened further. You're being incredibly unfair, Musk said, his voice dangerously low. My companies employ thousands of brilliant people working on humanity's most pressing problems. What exactly have you contributed beyond cheap jokes and celebrity gossip? Kimmel smiled, a predatory glint in his eye. It was clear he'd been waiting for this moment. Oh, I don't claim to be saving humanity, Elon. I'm just a talk show host. I didn't promise to revolutionize transportation, then deliver cars that spontaneously combust. I didn't claim to solve world hunger, then spend billions on a social media vanity project. The difference between us is I don't pretend to be something I'm not. The atmosphere in the studio was suffocating. Camera operators exchanged worried glances. The audience sat in stunned silence, unsure whether they were witnessing carefully orchestrated theater or a genuine breakdown of civility. Let's talk about Tesla stock, Kimmel continued, twisting the knife. Last I checked, it's down what, 40% this year? Your shareholders must be thrilled. Of course, that might have something to do with your habit of making bizarre announcements on social media instead of, running your company. Musk's eyes darkened as he leaned forward. You want to talk about Tesla stock? Fine. The market fluctuates, Jimmy. Anyone with basic financial literacy understands that innovation comes with volatility. Unlike your ratings, which have been consistently declining for years. A few uncomfortable laughs rippled through the audience. The cameraman zoomed in on Kimmel's face, capturing the momentary flash of genuine anger breaking through his professional veneer. At least my show doesn't burst into flames when someone watches it, Kimmel fired back. Tell me, Elon, do you have a special team that handles Tesla fires, or do you just tweet that they're actually a new feature? This is absurd, Musk muttered, checking his watch. I came here to discuss technological advancement, not to be insulted by someone who doesn't understand basic engineering principles. Oh, I understand enough, Kimmel said, his tone deceptively casual. I understand that you promised a high-speed hyperloop to revolutionize transportation. How's that working out? Last I heard you dug an ordinary tunnel and called it revolutionary because you put some LED lights in it. The audience's reaction was mixed now. Some nervous laughter, others visibly uncomfortable. The show's director was frantically signaling to producers who seemed frozen in place, unsure whether to intervene. The Boring Company has made significant advancements in tunneling technology, Musk responded, his voice tight. We've reduced costs by a factor of 10. But I wouldn't expect you to appreciate that when your idea of innovation is finding new celebrities to fawn over. Speaking of boring, Kimmel continued as if Musk hadn't spoken, let's discuss your recent attempts at comedy on your social media platform. I've seen funeral homes with better delivery. Musk's face flushed deeper. At least I'm authentic. Your carefully scripted, spontaneous moments fool nobody. Your whole persona is manufactured by a team of writers. And yours is manufactured by an army of fanboys who think every half-baked idea you tweet at 3 a.m. is genius, Kimmel retorted. But let's get back to Tesla. Your shareholders are jumping ship faster than passengers on the Titanic. Maybe if you spent less time playing space cadet and more time addressing production issues, your company wouldn't be hemorrhaging value. The atmosphere in the studio was now unbearably tense. A woman in the front row of the audience audibly gasped. "Tesla has revolutionized the automotive industry," Musk said, his voice rising slightly. "We've accelerated the transition to sustainable energy by years, possibly decades. What exactly is your contribution to humanity's future, Jimmy? Making celebrities uncomfortable and reading mean tweets?" "My contribution?" Kimmel's smile was tight. "I don't pretend my talk show is saving humanity. I'm not promising colonies on Mars while my workers complain about unsafe conditions. I'm not manipulating markets with irresponsible tweets. And I'm certainly not charging people $10,000 for full self-driving technology that, 5 years later, still can't fully drive itself." Musk's knuckles whitened as he gripped the armrests. "You're deliberately misrepresenting complex technological challenges. Our autonomous driving system has logged millions of miles safely. It's easy to criticize from the sidelines when you've never built anything of value." "Built anything?" Kimmel repeated incredulously. "Your competitors built electric vehicles before Tesla existed. You didn't invent online payments. You didn't invent reusable rockets. You just bought your way in and took credit for other people's work." The audience was completely silent now, watching the exchange like a tennis match where both players were aiming directly at each other instead of the ball. "That's a fundamental misunderstanding of innovation and leadership," Musk said, struggling to maintain composure. "Teams need direction and vision, something you clearly lack given the recycled format of your show that hasn't evolved in a decade." "Speaking of recycled," Kimmel pressed on, "let's talk about those solar roof tiles you announced years ago, the ones that were supposed to revolutionize residential energy. Where are they, Elon? Another broken promise, or just another distraction? While Tesla's quality control continues to nosedive?" Musk's jaw tightened visibly. "Solar deployment has challenges that—" "Everything with you has challenges that conveniently explain why you can't deliver what you promised," Kimmel interrupted. "Your companies keep missing deadlines, your products keep underperforming, but your excuses are always right on schedule." A production assistant finally appeared on stage with water for both men. Musk took his glass with a shaking hand, spilling a few drops on his pants. The camera caught the moment, lingering perhaps longer than necessary. "You know what's really fascinating?" Kimmel continued, not touching his water. "How someone so allegedly brilliant at business managed to overpay for a social media platform by billions, then proceeded to drive it into the ground in record time. That takes a special kind of talent." The veins in Musk's temples were visibly throbbing now. "The platform's daily active users have actually plummeted," Kimmel offered. "Along with advertising revenue? Along with your credibility? You turned what was once a valuable company into a dumpster fire of misinformation and hate speech. Congratulations." "This interview is crossing lines," Musk said quietly, his voice barely controlled. "I agreed to appear on your show to discuss innovation and the future, not to be subjected to uninformed character assassination." "Innovation?" Kimmel repeated with exaggerated thoughtfulness. "Like your revolutionary robot that couldn't walk across a stage without assistance? Or your solar company that's being investigated for allegedly falsifying installation numbers? That kind of innovation?" Musk's breathing had become visibly labored. Security personnel at the edge of the stage exchanged uncertain glances, sensing the situation was rapidly deteriorating beyond standard talk show banter. "I'm beginning to think," Musk said slowly, "that you invited me here specifically to attack me. Is your show so desperate for relevance that you need to manufacture conflict?" "Oh, I don't need to manufacture anything," Kimmel replied with a cold smile. "Your track record speaks for itself. Let's talk about your massive Las Vegas tunnel system that turned out to be—" "What exactly? Regular cars driving slowly through a tunnel with fancy lights?" Revolutionary indeed. The studio fell silent as Musk's expression hardened into something the audience hadn't seen before. Gone was any pretense of professional courtesy. "You know what, Jimmy?" Musk said, his voice dangerously quiet. "I've sat here patiently while you've distorted facts and mocked years of work by thousands of brilliant engineers and scientists. People who are actually trying to solve real problems while you sit here making lazy jokes." "Lazy jokes?" Kimmel repeated. "Like promising robo-taxis by 2020? Or is that more of a tragic comedy?" "This is exactly the problem with media figures like you," Musk continued, ignoring the jab. "You criticize and tear down while contributing nothing of value. You've turned discourse into entertainment at the expense of progress." Kimmel leaned back in his chair, a smug expression on his face. "Progress? Is that what you call it when Tesla's quality control is so bad that bumpers fall off in the rain? When SpaceX rockets explode on the launch pad? When your tunnels can't even handle basic traffic flow? That's not progress, Elon. That's marketing wrapped in failure." Something shifted in Musk's demeanor. He straightened in his chair, a cold determination replacing his previous agitation. "Let me ask you something, Jimmy. What have you built? What problems have you solved? While my teams are developing sustainable energy solutions, advancing space exploration, and creating brain-machine interfaces to help people with paralysis, what exactly have you contributed beyond cynicism and mockery?" "I don't need to build a rocket to know when one explodes," Kimmel shot back. "Your problem is that you can't handle legitimate criticism. You surround yourself with yes-men and fanboys who treat your every utterance like gospel, and when anyone points out your failures, you throw a tantrum. Like you're doing right now." The producer was now frantically signaling to cut to commercial, but both men were too engaged in their verbal sparring to notice. "You call this legitimate criticism?" Musk laughed without humor. "You've spent 15 minutes making shallow, uninformed attacks without a single substantive point. This isn't journalism or even good comedy. It's character assassination masquerading as entertainment." "Oh, I'm sorry," Kimmel said with exaggerated concern. "Did I hurt the feelings of the world's richest man? The guy who calls rescue heroes pedos when they criticize him? The guy who manipulates markets with irresponsible tweets? Forgive me if I don't shed tears for your bruised ego." Musk's eyes narrowed. "You know what's truly revealing, Jimmy? You haven't asked a single genuine question about the technology, the science, or the engineering challenges. You're not interested in understanding. You just want a viral moment at someone else's expense. And you just want adoration without accountability," Kimmel countered. "Your shareholders deserve better. Your customers who paid for self-driving features that don't work deserve better. Your workers who report unsafe conditions deserve better." Musk checked his watch again, making his contempt obvious. "I think we're done here. This isn't a conversation. It's a hit job, and I won't be part of it anymore." "Running away when challenged? That tracks with your management style," Kimmel taunted. "Tesla stock is tanking because people are finally seeing through the smoke and mirrors. You're not a visionary, Elon. You're a carnival barker selling promises you can't keep." The studio audience gasped as Musk abruptly stood up. His face was composed now, but his eyes blazed with cold fury. "You know nothing about building, creating, or innovating," Musk said, his voice steady. "Nothing about the challenges of pushing boundaries or the sacrifices required to advance technology. You sit in your comfortable chair, reading lines written by others, mocking those who take actual risks." He began removing his microphone, his movements deliberate and controlled. "The difference between us, Jimmy, is that in 20 years, no one will remember your tired jokes or cheap shots. But they will be driving electric vehicles, benefiting from sustainable energy, and perhaps even living in a multi-planetary civilization. That's what matters. Not this pathetic attempt at relevance." Kimmel started to respond, but Musk cut him off with a raised hand. "I didn't come here to be insulted by someone who's never created anything of value," Musk continued, dropping his microphone on the chair. "I came to discuss ideas and innovation. Clearly that's beyond the scope of your show." The audience watched in stunned silence as Musk turned to leave. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kimmel called out, a desperate edge creeping into his voice, "the great Elon Musk, who can't handle basic questions about his business practices. If only his cars could run on his ego, we'd have solved the energy crisis." Musk paused at the edge of the stage, turning back to face Kimmel one last time. "You know what the saddest part is, Jimmy? You could use your platform to inspire, to educate, to elevate discourse. Instead, you've chosen the path of least resistance. Cynicism is easy. Building the future is hard. I genuinely feel sorry for you." With that, he walked off stage, leaving Kimmel momentarily speechless. The silence in the studio was deafening until Kimmel finally recovered. "Well, that happened," he said with forced levity. "We'll be right back after this break with someone who can actually take a joke." But the damage was done. The audience's applause was scattered and uncertain. Social media exploded within minutes. The clip of Musk removing his microphone and delivering his final condemnation went viral before the show even ended its broadcast. The following morning, Tesla stock actually rallied as Musk's supporters rallied around him. Kimmel failed and Stand with Elon trended worldwide. Analysis pieces debated who had come out on top in the exchange, but the consensus was clear. Kimmel had overplayed his hand, coming across as mean-spirited rather than witty. 3 days later, Musk posted a simple tweet. "Enjoyed my time on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Sometimes uncomfortable conversations are necessary. Looking forward to showing our progress rather than just talking about it." The tweet garnered millions of likes and further cemented public opinion that Musk had emerged victorious from the confrontation. Behind the scenes, Kimmel's producers held emergency meetings about the show's direction. Network executives expressed concern about the backlash and the potential impact on advertising revenue. Kimmel himself remained defiant in public, but privately acknowledged he had crossed a line. A week later, in an uncharacteristic move, he opened his show with a qualified apology. "Look, I'm a comedian. I push boundaries. Sometimes I miss the mark. But at the end of the day, I respect anyone who's trying to make a difference, even if we disagree on methods or results." The controversy eventually faded, as controversies do, but the exchange entered late-night television lore as one of the most genuinely tense and unscripted moments in the medium's history. For Musk, it became another chapter in his colorful, public persona. For Kimmel, it served as a reminder of the fine line between incisive commentary and simple cruelty. In Silicon Valley boardrooms and Hollywood writers' rooms alike, the incident prompted reflection on the relationship between innovation, criticism, and public discourse in an age where attention often matters more than substance. Some things, as both men discovered that night, are worth more than a viral moment.